Hello, this is Maggie Wolken with USD 413. I am here to provide you with information on helping students realize their learning norms. The purpose of today's meeting is to provide teachers a quick guide to make the educational experience more meaningful for students. Throughout today's presentation, I will introduce you or remind you of what norms are. I will then discuss why student learning norms are important to student learning. We will introduce 10 expectations that students feel are important to their student learning. I will share with you the student perspective and what teachers can do. We will conclude with what does this mean for USD 413, and then I will provide you with some resources to take back to your classroom and to your team meetings. Norms. Norms are a set of operating principles that shape team members' interactions. We have all sat together in multiple meetings with our administration, with our school staff, with our grade level teams, and with parents. We are all aware of the written and unwritten rules that are modeled throughout these meetings. It is now time for us to discuss what student learning norms look like and why they are important. What do we need to do as educators to keep our students engaged in their learning? As educators, we must consider our students' expectations of the school. There are 10 learning norms that are important for student learning. They are relationships, relevance, time, timing, play, practice, choice, authenticity, challenge, and application. Let's begin with relationships. In every single one of our classrooms, there is at least one student asking themselves, am I just another face in this classroom? Do my teachers know about my interests or talents? Do my teachers help me form relationships with peers and other adults? We need to make sure that we are answering each one of these questions without a child ever having to ask them. In order to do that, we need to build a relationship with them. Ways to build relationships with our students are to eat lunch with our students, play with our students at recess, greet your students when they arrive each morning, hold classroom meetings. This will provide a time for students to learn about their peers and for you to learn about each and every one of your students. Relevance. Students tend to ask themselves, is this work that I am putting in just a series of hoops that I have to jump through? Is this work even relevant to my interest? Am I going to use this again one day in my future? Do my teachers know how my learning contributes to my community? As a teacher, we need to make sure that we are planning real-world lessons. Make sure that all activities are relevant to the lives of our student. Explain why the assignments are important. How are they relevant to each and every one of our students? Listen to our students' opinions. When they are sharing their opinions about the lessons that you're presenting, reflect upon that and find time to make adjustments within your lessons to help build engagement in the next lesson that you present. Time. Oftentimes, students and parents are asking themselves, am I as a student or will my student, my child, be expected to learn at the same rate as other students? Does the teacher get to decide on the learning pace? Can I learn, or my student or my child, can they learn at their own pace? Is there time for the learning to be deep as well as broad? Teachers need to make sure that we are explaining the pace of an assignment. We need to value the time that we have with our students. We need to assign self-guided projects for students and visit with students about assignments and reflect upon the observations that we see throughout each assignment. Make adjustments through your observations and reflections. When you see that something is going good or when something may not be going too great, Make those adjustments. That is what reflection is for. Timing. Do I have to learn in the same learning sequence as my peers, or can I learn in an order that fits my learning style and interest? As adults, we all have our own learning style, and as educators, we all have our preferred way of teaching. But we need to make sure that we make adjustments to all of our learning and teaching styles to incorporate lessons that are being taught to every student in our classroom. We need to think outside of the box and create lessons that fit the needs of our students. We may need to complete individual plans of study to reach every part of our students' learning. Play. Is there always pressure to perform? Do the students have opportunities to explore? It is important that we allow time for students to explore and learn. Create lesson plans that allow for hands-on learning. Add in creative choice learning days. Allow your students to see their mistakes and learn from them. Practice. We've all heard practice makes perfect. So students are sometimes wondering, do we learn something and then immediately move on to the next skill? Do students even realize that they've finished a skill at hand before moving on to that next skill? Can we engage in deep practice of skills we need to learn? It is important as teachers that we allow time for students to practice the skill. Allow time for students to learn through hands-on material and hands-on activities. Create games that allow students to practice and build from their skills learned. Choice. We all love to make choices. That is including us as adults and our students in our classrooms. Students often wonder, am I following the same path as my peers? Am I going down the right path that I need to go down? So we need to make sure that we are allowing our students to make choices by offering choices within our learning activities. Maybe offer class voting systems within each learning assignment. Allow students to see their talents and make their own choices. At times, we do see our peers making choices and then our students follow them. We need to know that our students are aware of their own talent so that they can follow their dreams and have the ability to successfully meet them. Authenticity. We need, a lot of times, parents and students are looking at us as teachers saying, oh, they're just going to hand out a worksheet. Make sure that we are not just a series of worksheets. Is the learning that our students do considered significant outside of the school by experts, family, and employers? Does the community recognize and value the students' work? It is important that we share all the hard work that our students are putting into every minute of their learning. We need to value the students' hard work. We need to share it within our community, and we need to invite community members into our classrooms to share and assist with lessons. Challenge. Aren't we all up for a great challenge? Students are sometimes asking themselves, is school just about completing an assignment? Will they ever be challenged? We need to make sure as teachers that we are creating lessons with high and meaningful standards. Create lessons that allow students to think critically while mastering different concepts. Applications. Do students have the opportunity to apply what they are learning in the real world settings? When teachers are creating lesson plans that are real world based, they will be able to apply their learning in the real world settings. It is important that teachers teach their students to apply their knowledge learned to each part of their life outside of the classroom, take field trips, have hands-on learning experiments within the community setting. So why does this all matter? Well, it supports our USD 413 mission and vision statement. It promotes student growth and it increases student engagement. So what does this look like for the future of USD 413? If we all recall, USD 413 District PLC mission states that we will ensure high levels of learning for all students. It is important that when we are sitting in PLC meetings and grade level meetings, that we reflect on our teaching and learning of our students during each team meeting. Each team will be responsible for using the 4 PLC questions. This will allow you to make sure that you are providing interventions and enrichment for all students. During team meetings, teams need to plan ways to incorporate the expectations of our students. When teaching a lesson, be mindful of each of those standards that we are focusing on as a district. Indicator 5.3b, the teacher establishes secure teacher-student relations. That is the first 10 expectations that students have on schools. We need to build a teacher-student relationship with each and every one of our students to ensure that we are providing them with a relationship that allows them to build their strengths and be comfortable within their learning environment. Indicator 1.2, the teacher cognitively engages students in the content by providing time for them to practice and providing time for them to play and explore. We are engaging them cognitively within each content that we are teaching. Indicator 7.4, the teacher monitors the effect of instruction on the whole class and individual learning. This is when we have to reflect. We have to check for understanding, and we have to know whether or not our instruction is producing more student engagement and the growth of student learning. So, are we ready to make some changes to ensure that all students are learning at the highest level possible? Are we ready to make sure all students are engaged? Throughout this presentation, I have provided you with 10 student learning norms, along with examples of how to embed them into your expectations as a teacher. So, what are you going to do with this information? How are you going to ensure each and every student realizes with the use of these expectations, they will be successful throughout their adventures in life, not just as a student? I challenge each and every one of you to discuss this with your grade level team. Find ways to embed each expectation or norm into your teaching adventures. Standard NS 2.1. Throughout this assignment, I gained content knowledge by reviewing resources that teaches me to promote the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult. This assignment allowed me to reflect on my teaching practices from the eyes of my students. This reflection allowed me to determine if I am meeting the expectations of all of my students while thinking about ways to embed each expectation into my teaching. I will also be able to assist my team members to embed student expectations into their daily teaching to ensure that students are engaged in promoting student growth. This will require us as teachers to increase the rigor of our lessons. Relevant. This assignment allowed me to reflect about how my students are affected by my teaching. By reflecting on the rigor of my teaching, I will be able to make changes to my current teaching practices to help support the use of norms and how they can be used to enhance the learning environment of my students. This assignment provided me with more insight on student norms and expectations. We tend to focus on adult professional norms, but by completing this assignment, I am reminded to also focus on learning norms for each and every student. Reflection. I will use the knowledge learned from this assignment as a team leader and a building leader, it is important that I add learning norms into our PLC discussion to ensure that we are promoting student learning. As a building leader, it will be my responsibility to ensure that my staff has an understanding of learning norms and how to promote student learning while increasing student engagement. Here are the references that you can take back to your classroom and team meetings to further educate yourself on the 10 expectations that students have on schools.